Greetings, Langrinos. I'm Peter.
And I'm Tyler.
Welcome to the next installment of the Ganoqa Exploration series, where we are learning about Ganoqa language, which has other names. We'll discuss that later when we learn more about it. We are discussing, but it's called Ganoqa in the source we have. So that's what the name we're using. And as we left off, we were guessing that Toa here means alive and that it is cognate with Hawaiian koa. So how can you learn about Hawaiian language? Take the
Duolingo has
Duolingo
it.
course. It's another thing that's freely available. And if you are interested in Oceanic languages, it's on Duolingo. It's a source that's available to you.
Also, lots of books on Hawaiian that are pretty easily available, at least in North America.
Are we going to call Toa a verb here?
Let's do.
All right. And I think that as we go through, we're going to find that the notion of verb doesn't work the same way.
At least what I'm learning about Hawaiian, it's really, for many, many words, it seems irrelevant to give it any kind of label. The same word can be an adjective in some cases and a verb and maybe, and a noun. It's all very fluid, which is very elegant. I like it.
So we're going with it for now, but
yeah,
we may revise later. So our next translation here with Senate starting with Mata, I'll see them tomorrow. I'll go down and I'll kill them. Now, in my experience, the word for kill in Austronesian and Oceanic languages generally derives from the word for die, mate, which is going to be make in Hawaiian. However, we don't see any mate here at all. And we had they'll kill me, vaiziu. Now we get virea. Now it's written as two different words, but perhaps you have a suspicion already, right? I mean, maybe it is two different words. There's no law that all object agreements have to be the same suffix or clitic, or it could be some or suffix. People forget there's no rule book. There's no realbody out there. There's no real entity out there making sure grammars are consistent and not leaky. In fact, famous linguist Edward Sapir said all grammars leak. So we don't know. But
there are rule books, but the rules are not divine law. They're just our best guesses.
Smaller so we can see our screen. All right, so my guess is vi is kill. And if I had to guess if it was related to the common word at all, typically it's va mate or vaca mate or some version of this, because there was this va causative suffix. So it's va mate and Roviana, for example. So vi, what's that?
Word. I think you mean prefix.
Yeah, va is the prefix typically. Did I say suffix?
Yeah.
I meant prefix.
I'm constantly.
Good catch, Tyler. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put in vi as kill. What do you think?
Sounds good to me. We had it just 2 lines above, too.
Yeah. It's a very verby thing. We'll call it a verb.
We could see it perhaps as a noun meaning the killing and perhaps as an adjective meaning deadly, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. He said, all right, ura.
So then the 3 had been diving. Oop, must not have copied it correctly.
We have a nice reduplicated one there, suvu suvu.
Which I think we know the meaning of, or we do not.
Either we do or we don't. We have known knowns and unknown knowns. I would guess that it's the word that means to dive. Just feels that way somehow.
And feels that way to me too.
Followed by a particle do to indicate that it's a completed action.
There they have had been diving. So that it's perfect progressive. So suvu here, suvu might be progressive. And then we would say parogo is progressive. We have an idea that at least reduplication is doing something progressive or continuous in this. And then we have our nge again. So it's looking more and more like some sort of third plural subject particle. My concern here and my hesitance to gloss these quickly is we also had ngari for 1, 2, remember? So my syntax senses are tingling that this subject agreement particle has something to do with tense, mood, or aspect as well. And so that's why we're getting these alternations. Now, of course, they don't do this in Roviana, so I'm not basing it on comparison with Roviana, but just my syntax senses. All right, let's see if we can get the rest of these translations in here. Make this a little smaller. It's not important to see this right now. All right. There we get grilling. So again, progressive paro-parogo.
That's right. Yeah. Diving and grilling are actions that take a little bit of time. So progressive would, well,
dot
oh,
there.
Down came, we're missing a free translation for 7-2. Skipped one. Hore ngokolo. Down came the fellow to go, he thought. Wow. Looking forward to identifying those words. So the ellipsis.
So the dot is supposed to go with Zagua, not Corapa.
Whatever. I mean,
I guess it doesn't matter.
There is a single character ellipsis that we can get, but it's working fine there. As long as it's not putting them on 3 different lines, I'm good with that.
Yeah, I'm just going to leave it for now. If we need to, we can delete it.
Easy enough to do. Ramu, ngangu, that's a lovely word. Ngangu liziu, we have our familiar verb ending.
You rubbish me.
And I actually looked that up. What it is as a verb. It's not part of my English, but in Australia, Britain, India, New Zealand, it means either criticize, denigrate, denounce, or disparage.
All right, so we can tell that this next translation really goes with this.
What do you mean?
So you rubbished me is gamu.
Nganguliziu, yeah.
Nganguliziu. And then Nazamule gamu parogia is really, hey, what's that you're cooking this time?
Oh, and okay, yeah, that little after
question. Give me a bit, he said, is clearly this one, because we have everything. This one's pretty much understood. So this is just a little kind of careful details you need to get once you get your system going. It's not that crazy. And if you've recognized 10 words or something in your Flex file, it's going to make it a lot easier to do this and make sure that you're on the right track, especially when there's weird little ellipses and other things that are important stylistically for the writing. So this one should end in the word pavuni. It does.
Mm-hmm.
The ones you want would be big, deep pool. Okay. This should end with guti and end, or begin with guti and end with guni. So we feel this pretty confident about that translation. And that's as far as we've gotten.
Oh, well.
The text, there is more.
No, there's more. We'll grab it from the Word doc there, if you would. From the Google Doc, rather. Ganoqa 1.
So, 2. After guni.
You've already got, yeah. You got one.
Yeah, just making sure where we are. So 7 is the last one. There we got 8.
As I go. Okay, let me see what was up with that dot there. And so this paragraph 8 is what page? That is page 8. Second paragraph on 8. As I go, okay, just in the scan, in the booklet, it's just a line with 2 words, azai, comma, ko, and then no punctuation. So I felt like there should be a dot there, but there wasn't.
And it's its own line, really.
Its own line, but there's no final punctuation to it.
Yeah, okay. I'm down to put a period. I think that looks good, just so we kind of understand the organization of it.
It might not. Yeah.
If it doesn't work, we'll adjust it.
Indeed. Now, is that good? Yeah. I mean, it's underlining. Looks okay. Good. We can go ahead and get the whole text in. Yeah. Now that it's
I think we get the whole text in today.
Just take a minute.
It'll take 1 second, but it's worth doing it carefully. So now we're here to see this Tori again. And we're getting interested to see what this Tori is going to be. We've got Leia-E again. We've got a few X's and C's, which are our capital letters to let us know those represent
Placements.
yeah, things that are in the original text, and we don't want to lose that information, even if it isn't.
But yeah, but the character doesn't work for our purposes, so we replaced it.
All right, we're almost done. Now we have a big hint about what Beto means right here. Beto. My guess on how it's actually pronounced. Oop, I need that period.
Expected to be.
It says right there, end.
That's what I put there. That's just to label it. It's not really a worthy of a paragraph label. Can you
But I see you. What's that?
Empty lines. The two empty lines after Beto. Can you get rid of those? Flex is gonna take those seriously and treat them as part of our text if we don't. All right, text is now complete in the Ganoqa, and all we need to do is everything else. But now, when we say approve all instances of this word with their meaning and their analysis, then it will do for the whole story.
So here's where we were with vai and kill as our last things. Now we've got betoko, korane. So betoko, unclear if that should be betoko, korane, or if ko maybe is another sort of aspectual particle that's going on beto. Maybe beto is really a verb. Not that easy to know. So we're getting it again and again for this third person subject, gay, and I'm feeling pretty confident that means third plural subject, but everything else not as easy. Now we've seen Nyango a couple times, and also mana, and that's an early one we never solved. All right, check this out. There we've got Leaziu. It pleases me.
Pleasing to me.
Pleasing to me. So that seems pretty convincing to me.
Yeah, let's highlight that word if you would, and then go to analyze.
Oop.
Yeah, now we're going to find it again. I really recommend whenever you're looking at something, select it. Yeah. Save you some scratching. Precious seconds of your life will be saved.
There we go.
Actually, could you do that again so people can follow along the analysis of it? We have a single word form, and we have identified that it has two parts. So what you'll do in this is you can put a space to break it down where you think that boundary is. And then the second part is a suffix. So Peter's going to put a hyphen there, and it instantly pops up. First singular object, to me, or do it to me. Pleases me will be the meaning of that word. And it fits the translation. I like that food. The food pleases me.
So we've got ziu as the base form for our first singular object agreement. And that has been working well for words that end in vowels. Right, but if you think parogo...
You mean stems that end in vowels?
Yes, stems that end in vowels, verbs. If you think parogo is really parog, and the O is an inserted vowel, will we get parogoziu or something like parogiu? Right, that's a puzzle we can probably solve within this text, because this text is giving us a really good distinction between third person plural, third person singular, and first person singular. And that's actually pretty rare to get that much richness in a single story. So this was a great story to start off our exploration is. I propose that we just kind of go back to the beginning and solve as many words as we can.
Sounds
and
good.
One of the things we should do is check them now that we've got the whole thing in this spreadsheet. We can check as we go and search for instances.
That's right.
Okay, so Iliganigani, we feel pretty confident that's giant, but we never actually analyzed it as giant. We did.
Gotta select that word you're looking at. Great habit to get in with Flex. I worked with Flex for many years on a couple different language projects. Here to share.
Any better guess on Beto, or do you want to call it then?
Since it's the last word of the text, I'm not too happy with then.
I have a proposal for you.
All right.
Finnish. No, not the country Finland. Literally the word for when something is done. Finish.
Yeah. And so that being done, finish that. There also exists 3 utes. Yeah. You want a lowercase for Alexim?
I'm not even going to guess word category.
It seems perfectly verb. If you analyze it as a verb, then that makes this sentence align with the one above and being verb initial, perhaps.
Yeah.
Verb. Now that tuhu, that could be our past tense marking tu with something else added onto it. There were 3 youths that would match the English well.
I believe so.
Perfective of, or perfect of existing. You believe or believe no?
I believe it is some sort of perfect past tense thing going on, but I don't know for sure.
Sure.
And we've also got if this gu, as in ngang gu, has been really reanalyzed as some sort of possessive suffix. This tugu could be a third person plural possessive or something. And I admit my guess here is that nana on the very top is some sort of third plural or third singular possessive thing, because we've seen na as a suffix for tumusu na, etc.
You know where else we have nana?
Where
Look
is
at the
that?
title.
Let's search
the
it.
title of the story. Look at I'm searching for it now. Look at the title of the story in Ganoqa.
The story of the clam.
Babakato nana temotemoko. 5 instances. Your possessive idea would work well for the title, for its occurrence there.
Where is it?
Yes, a lot of the sentences are quite long, which are difficult to do, difficult to pick out with certainty.
Well, let's leave it for now till we have a few more words in the sentence solved. And it might not seem obvious to the viewer why we would guess possessive, since nothing is clearly being possessed. It's actually based on morphology and being open-minded to the way you express things in a language might not always make sense from out. There's many idiomatic, even grammaticalizations. So like, if I said a strong person or a person of strength, right? Those are kind of similar ways to talk about a strong puppy or a puppy of strength. Worse for some reason. Digression, but worse. But maybe like an honor badge or a badge of honor. There's several that are switchable like this. And that's actually using possessive there to describe an adjective. So we don't always use possessive in straightforward ways. And even stylistically, for example, I've noticed in Portuguese, people tend to use possessive stylistically more than they do in English, where we could too. So for example, in Portuguese, people tend to say, my mom, my dad, and you think that's fine. Would you say, as an English speaker, to your sibling, have you seen my mom? If they have the same mom as you. You probably wouldn't, not in North Texas English, which I speak, but in Portuguese, you would. You would say to your sibling, where is my mom? Even though it's their mom too. So you could just say, where is mom? But it's just a stylistic choice. So we're open-minded that this could be a possessive.
In 1-2, let's do this. Let's link kolendia with tuhu. Let's say they existed. Part, you got to repeat the breakdown each time you link that, but we had them identified as parts. It's one of our very first analyses we did, if not the first. What you can do is break the ru off of tu, and it'll know tu are perfect. Yeah. And let's say they existed.
Now here we have this dia, which is third person plural, right? So this is not a object agreement, and it's weird in some way that we're getting subject agreement where there's object agreement. But understand that since we're proposing this is I didn't propose that yet.
We're about to propose.
I'm about to propose that this is actually a nominalization, and that this is their method of direct possession for third plural. And so what is a nominalization? A nominalization, it can be simple things like when you turn a verb into a noun, that's fine. but you can turn a whole sentence into a noun. You might think, no, you can't. Check this out.
I can. I don't know about you.
I'm going to say Tyler ate the cake. All right. Tyler ate the cake. That's a straightforward sentence. No problemo. Let me make that whole thing a nominalization with a possessive. Tyler's eating the cake bothered me. So Tyler, possessive S, Tyler's eating the cake bothered me. Which it would never bother me, and I can't imagine Tyler eating whole cake, but it's just an example sentence. So this is like the boys existed through youth or something. They's existed through youth. Now, it doesn't exactly make sense in English, but I just wanted to see that we use possessive to make nominalizations in English. And I think that's what's going on here. Just as a guess.
Right. Yeah. Not something I would have guessed at this stage, but I dig it.
Well, what made me guess it was, and let's go over to our, is the RIA. Let's go for the first instance. It's easier to see it in smaller sentences.
Yeah.
So kamu RIA over open fire. That one's not helping us as much. I don't even see this.
We have it as a suffix there, dogoria. What you can do to get rid of that is put a space before the ria in your search expression. You'll get.
Now, dogoria is a tricky one. Okay, I know what dogoria means because it's the same as Roviana, so I'm gonna have to skip this one.
Yep.
Not the right example we're looking for. There we go. Tekuria is exactly what I was looking for. So we know that's in paragraph 4. And we know that in that case, let's go ahead and look at paragraph 4, sentence 1.
Yep.
I'll go to
Good. The
gloss.
number consistent there. Yeah, I'll get a bit more on each one. Now be sure to highlight the word. Good.
All right, so there we have azaria and tekuria. And we get, then he said, where are those crab holes? Look close by. Will be there, not them, they're different ones. You will find them back in the hole.
Well back.
So I think.
Oh, we're going to get negation in this one, not them.
Yeah, neat. I think find them is tekuria.
Teku. Teku we've seen like get or take elsewhere. We have it in the one above too.
Tekwa.
We pull them out. Pull it out. I think that's that.
Pull it out. So now we get
Tekua. Yeah.
Let's go to analyze.
Nice.
So pull it. Tekwa is either pull or take.
Could be tekuia underlyingly, but let's just
100% what I think it is.
Allomorph. Yeah. Allomorph means different form.
Do we have?
For those who don't know, while you're doing that, we don't have that.
We don't have ia yet.
Maybe let's wait on that.
Let's wait. Yeah.
Those of you who never heard the term allomorph, our basic plural marker in English is an S or an ES. Then we have cases like child, children. So you could call the run of children an allomorph of the plural marker. Different form with the same grammatical function, if you want to unite them.
So I'm going to start with parogia, the one where we're pretty confident what it means.
There it is. Yeah, good. We did find it. And it was in the translation.
Oh, you want to see the translation right quick?
And so it smelled good to the giant. No, that's not that one.
Actually, what are you cooking it?
What are you cooking? Yeah, that's right. You are cooking a thing.
Now, it's not a real it because it's not a separate noun phrase, but what, the naza, is the third singular object there. So it wasn't as clear before.
Oh, let's do
caps.
Let's cap it. And a dot is good. Yeah, for clarity. It attaches to a verb, I would say.
We'll say, but one of the things here is, I think one explanation that might work better for Ganoqa, though we don't know yet, is that if a verb particle attaches to it, then the stem is a verb. And if a nominal particle attaches to it, then the stem is a noun, rather than the stem having an inherent word class. But we'll see. All right, now we need to go back down to where we were. I'm going to go to gloss to make it easier to find. Oh, no.
Okay, yeah.
Me out.
Well, it happens. That's perfect. So be careful now. Now that you've copied that, if you ever paste anything That's what it'll be. It'll be an error report, many, many lines.
Now, is it really making me? Yes, it is. Okay, we're gonna open Flex back up.
Happened countless times.
One of the joys of Flex.
Got to get back on that horse and ride it. The 1-1. Okay.
How much did it lose? No, it looks like we still have most of it.
It does. Yeah, it saves itself pretty often.
I want to look for Tekwa. It's gonna be down here. I need to go to gloss to make this quicker.
We have 4 hits. Yeah, that's right. We have one in paragraph 1. That's probably what got you started on it. The next one will be in paragraph 3.
Tekwa?
Yes, T with a T or with a P?
T.
Tekua, yeah. In paragraph 3, I'm not seeing it. I get a hit.
And there's Teku ni. Now we've seen this ni kind of acting like an it multiple times. I have a suspicion here what it's doing, but it's beyond confirmation at the moment. There's our Tekwa right there.
That's right, yeah. 3 lines. 3-7.
Analyze. It should take us right over. Now we can do allomorph of.
Tell you that it's Ia, and there it is.
Right. So what we're guessing is that the E deletes after high vowels. So if this was Gani, the word for eat, and it was eat it, we'd assume it'd be Gania. Because the E would delete after E. It wouldn't be Ganiya.
You have 4 instances of such a string of letters. Also, paragraph 3, we have a Ghania. The very first line of paragraph 3.
So 3-1.
Very last word.
Very nice. All right. Now, I'm going to break it off like that.
Works for me.
Eat it. Now, you may notice that it says down here, ate it, and we don't get our 2 or anything like this. You might be thinking, all right, I throw my hands in the air. What's going on? It's actually one of the reasons why I'm saying I don't think there's a past tense in the language and that it's perfect. And that when there's not an explicit past tense in the language, you can use perfect to communicate past actions, particularly completed perfect ones. But you can also just use present tense if the context of past tense is understood. You might think, dear listener, we would never do that in English. You do it in English all the time. And we have a past tense in English, but you do it all the time stylistically when storytelling. So you'd say something like, last week I had the worst experience at the restaurant. I go up to the guy and I say, all this is in present tense, but you know that it's in past tense. Okay, so there we have Gania. We're making pretty good progress as far as that goes. Now here we have Teku again. We never solved Teku. And we're not going to base it off that sentence, but it's kind of like...
No, it's not too helpful.
It's a little bit of a difference in translation, I believe.
All right.
So where's our Tekua again? Did I go too far?
What we want to do is just find the low-hanging fruit, things we can really clearly, unambiguously identify. And leave the harder stuff for later when we've got more pieces of the puzzle in place.
All right, so where's our next best Tekua? There we are. Click it, go over to Analyze. And put your hand inside, the big claw will nip you and you can pull it out. So I'm going to call Tekua take.
All right.
What do you think?
Pull it out. Yeah, take. Maybe pull seems more specific. Pull or take. And you can give things multiple meanings too. Not really something we need to worry about too much. Either one works for me. Whatever you like.
We have another version of Teku in here somewhere. Multiple versions. I'm going to tentatively call it take for now.
11 hits.
Yeah, let's look right quick at the Google Doc.
Find will be one. One meaning of it. Find. You pull it out. Finding and pulling. Tekuria. He didn't take.
It's almost more like capture.
Take, find, and pull. All of those united in one verb root.
Take, find, pull.
Capture is a good one. It sort of straddles the different meanings quite nicely.
Capture is what my vote is for. And you
I
might
dig it.
think, well, that doesn't work in English. No, it does. Again, it's just a different style of saying things. There are many things that are grammatical in English, but we don't say it that way. And that's one of the big differences about language, basically. I'm going to call it a verb.
Yep. It has verb morphology on it, so I heartily commend that.
Tekwa.
That will be Ongari.
All right, so that's pretty good, and we're pretty happy with that.
Muna. Okay, let's look at this one a bit. Then put your hand inside the hole. The big claw. We saw a word for claw. There we have it. Livona. Not Livona. Muna rau lao. Ow. I wonder about these laos and
So I've got a low-hanging fruit.
okay.
We've seen garat with other endings in this document.
We just
Let's
have
look.
two. Garatigo is this one. And then Garatani. So they bit him in paragraph 4. Oh, just 2 lines below.
So
Big claw
here
will nip.
it will nip. It doesn't say you, but clearly is nip you. And you can pull it out. And so they bit him, right?
It's like a joke about the scorpion. You don't have to worry about scorpions biting you. That's not the thing. It's the sting. That's the thing. So it says bite, talking about crabs. It's probably nip.
All right. So this is an interesting one. I think garat is bite or nip, something like that. I think probably in Proto-Oceanic it was chew, something along these lines.
Well.
It's bite in Roviana.
Nice.
So I recognized it, I admit, but I wanted to wait till we had evidence to point it out. And bite and nip unite it, but this actually opens up a really interesting puzzle for us. Why is it garata ni instead of garatia? Now I have no clue. Now I have like a clue, but ni does something different in Roviana. Let's say that this ni suffix. So I had my eyes peeled, but I would have thought that the ni would be for applicatives, like it is in Roviana, and that when it isn't nia, that it's third plural, like the e that we suspect there in verbs like that. So what's going on is not super clear. And I have to say I'm very excited by that. I still think garat is probably bite, nip, something like that. You might think, oh, nobody would mean bite for nip as the way and that nip also is kind of like a type of bite, like if a dog nips you. But we're talking about closing a pincher. Now you might think people never do that. Have you ever heard somebody say they got bit by a bee or whatever?
But scorpion bite.
A scorpion bite? No, those are stings in English, right? But we use bite for all that stuff, and it turns out other people do too. So let's propose that the garat here is bite.
Reality bites. Garat. I'll put the 2 forms there again.
Can't see that well.
Garatania. So that a in garatani could be an echo vowel, and we have ego here.
I believe that there's a echo vowel.
Let's do that as a verb because it seems to have, yeah.
And where's our next instance of garat, if you wouldn't mind?
2 lines below. Yeah.
And this a then is meaningless, and I'm just going to leave it like that. What do you think?
Works for me for now.
Should we classify it as a suffix or leave it as a nothing?
Right. I no position on that. We could
call it a suffix, because morphophonemically that's what it's doing, but
go to the next line there, please. What were we gonna say?
I wonder if ni could mean him. Now, I don't predict there to be gendered pronouns in an Oceanic language, but when one is little described, how can you know? What did you want to point out with the next round? We've got this other Gadi.
We have a clear case of Ngari for they, that's a subject. And Sekezekiziu as our object marker, they tricked me. So let's identify Seke.
Trick.
Do we want to find some way to deal with the reduplication or just leave it as a single stem for now?
Well, we don't know if it has an unreduplicated form. And one neat thing about this is that it's not progressive like the other reduplication we saw. Now, we
Well-
want to make the language understandable for us, we want to say that reduplication does the same thing everywhere. But reduplication tends to do different things. In my experience with Austronesian Oceanic, so there's probably multiple functions of reduplication. And more frustratingly, there's not always unreduplicated forms.
Mhm. Let's just say this stem means trick, and we can identify ngari as a subject pronoun, something like that. And
All right, now we've got ngati and gay, and we need to do a comparison here
right.
because we're getting a past tense meaning here or a perfected meaning here. So I know that in Bougainville they have languages that inflect realis and realis, irialis. And that's a bit west of here. And I don't know how it works, but realis and realis is kind of like an evidential. Have you heard this term, Tyler?
Evidential?
Realis and irialis.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Talking about things that are real occurrences in the universe versus hypothetical ones.
Hypothetical. So irialis is like hypothetically it happened. So none of this seems irialis to me. Or all of it's irialis because it's a story. But in the story, the universe is real, and so none of it seems realis or irialis to me. And it leaves me puzzling, what is the difference between ngati and gay? When are we getting these two things? Now, we've only got 2 minutes left, so our mystery of third plural subject particles will have to be addressed next time. Ngati could be, by the way, a combination of gay, adi.
I think that's what it is. I'm really inclined to. It's a very natural sort of change to occur.
We will try to solve it on the next meeting. But with that, I bid you adieu, Langarinos. Until next time.